The difference between throwing 97 and 100 is really not a lot. We can still add a little length to make the levers a little longer.
So cleaning that up, just making it more efficient.
More efficient, more smooth. More smooth. On time, more deliverable, more...
And that's probably at least one right there.
Yeah.
Because when I tell you, like, obviously I was emptying the tank on Pro Day, you know? But it's like, honestly, I thought about this too. I was like, that was a bullpen where, if I'm being honest with you, I wasn't feeling that much adrenaline. Obviously, a little bit was there, but it wasn't like a game.
Correct.
It was not like a game. Because a game, you get to the point where you're, like, shaking and shit.
Correct.
You know? So it's like, I feel like in a game, if everything matched up how it was on Pro Day in terms of, like, me drinking that bang, my warm-up,
me finishing my bang, I would have been...
You feel me? On top of the actual adrenaline, that could have been 8.
Could have been 100.
Or 7.5. Okay, I don't know about that.
Could have been 100.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's just going to be a lot different when you're in the Tokyo Dome. Because that environment's going to be a whole lot different.
I'm not going to feel my legs. I'm not going to be able to hear my own thoughts. It's going to be just straight, just fleshes of meat moving through time and space. Just limbs moving in Tokyo. Is that not the best way to put it?
Yeah, I mean...
Just a bunch of limbs flying around, dude.
You're going to come back from Tokyo, you're going to be 8 pounds heavier.
You think so?
You're going to be fat as shit.
Worth it, though.
Worth it. 100% worth it. You ready to rock?
Yep, let's go whenever.
Okay, so I guess just go ahead and start us off, kind of walk us through your journey, go back to high school if you got to.
For sure.
Tell us about the recruitment process, where'd you end up, what happened, that kind of spiel.
Yeah, so originally I was born in Singapore, but I grew up in the U.S. I grew up right outside of Atlanta in Norcross, Georgia, for like about 15 years, and went to Duluth High School in Duluth, Georgia. And so after my junior year at Duluth, that's when I kind of started to get some offers from some schools, mostly D2s, some JUCOs, a couple D3 schools, not a single Division I offer out of high school. I was like 86, sitting like 86, 88, topped 89 one time at Lake Point that summer. Could pitch, like I throw strikes with fastball, curveball, changeup at the time. And best offer that I had in my mind at that point in time was Columbus State University in Columbus, Georgia, a D2 in the Peach Belt Conference. So ended up making my decision to go play there. Go there my freshman year, and really good team, really good senior class that had like a ton of pitchers, and also just really wasn't ready. So decided to redshirt my freshman year, just regular, normal redshirt my freshman year. And then second year, sophomore year at Columbus, so 2018, started to make some strides, a little bit of improvement, and ended up throwing, I think, 8.1 innings. So in my mind, I was like, okay, we're making some improvements. Like definitely, I actually had a role on the team this year. Velo-wise, I was probably like 87, 89, top in 90, 91 every now and then that year. And then third year at Columbus State, still working my butt off in the off season, trying to get a bigger role. You know, it's my third year now, so it's like, let's just try to get a bigger role, obviously. And like I said, previous year, I had 8.1 innings. My third year at Columbus, I had 8.2. So, you know, at this point, it had been 3 seasons at Columbus State. I have 17 innings over a span of 3 years. And, you know, after I talked to the coach at Columbus State in my exit meeting after spring of 2019, we kind of decided that, you know, I kind of needed a change of scenery. Because, you know, he told me, he was like, I know you want to pitch. You know, you work hard. I know that you care about this. You're not just on the team to be on the team. Like, you actually give a crap about baseball. You want something to come out of this. Like, this is your passion. And he was very open and willing to help me through that entire process of finding a new team.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful that he was, you know, open-minded about that, to helping me find a new team. So long story short, I go home after the spring of 19, and I remember I emailed like 25, 30 Division II schools in Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, just to reach out and see who, you know, would reach back. And the first school to reach back was Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee. And so at the time I'd heard of Lee, but I didn't know much about them. I knew that they were like kind of a NAIA powerhouse that had recently turned into a Division II program. And so they reached out along with a couple other schools, but Lee was the first one to really hop on and say, come out for a visit, like, we want you on campus. So the next week, drove over to Lee, got on tour, coach offered, and I told them that, you know, I was going to give him a couple of days, but I ended up obviously making the choice to go to Lee. I thought they had a really good program, a really good school with a beautiful campus. So I was like, I mean, no complaints over here, you know, like, I'm just a guy that I needed another opportunity. I needed another shot. I was going into my 4th year of college with 17 innings and 0 starts. So was definitely a new opportunity that I am to this day like super grateful for them, you know, taking that chance on me. And so I get to Lee. First year there was COVID year, was 2020, and I actually earned a starting role that year. I earned the Sunday job to be a starter, and at the time I was like, you know, super excited. Like, I was like, wow, like, you know, senior year, 4th year, like, finally I actually, like, a little bit of a breakthrough. Yeah. You know, like, worked my absolute ass off to get the starting job. Did decent that year. I think I was like 2-0, gave up a ton of runs, but like, we're winning for the most part. Yeah. And then once COVID hit, this is kind of when the whole story kind of takes a turn, honestly. Get home from COVID in March, or whenever it was, like, yeah, mid to late March. And I just remember like telling myself that the first couple days that I was home, like just having a real ass conversation with myself, man to man in the mirror, like, straight up, like, bro, you're 22. I want to play pro. I want to play affiliated, obviously, just like anybody else does. Correct. But I'm 22. I was 88, 91, top 93 that year, which was, you know, solid college pitcher.
A steady progression. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
but
elite the Division II level.
But I wasn't getting any professional attention, and obviously that was the goal. So I had that sit-down conversation with myself, and I was just like, bro, if we're going to be stuck inside for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever the hell it's going to be, screw it. I'm going to come out of this the best I possibly can. Like, I am going to work harder. Like, I just took it upon myself. It's almost like a deal that I had with myself that, like, bro, I don't care about anything, anyone, other than just throwing harder, getting better, and just working my butt off every day in quarantine. And then once I get back to school, whether it's, you know, spring of 21 or however long COVID was going to be, like, hey, the chips are going to fall where they may. And I can just proudly say I literally did everything I could over COVID to develop myself into whatever that was going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So also, long story short, during COVID, you know, I looked there was a lot of Tread posts, Dr. Heenan posts. Robbie Rowe was also a big help for me over COVID, because obviously when we're all inside, like on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, like I was doing a lot of just research in general, just learning more about how to throw harder, how to develop myself, you know, and just try things and trial and error, you know? Yeah. And so basically, you know, from Robbie Rowe, I kind of figured out that my arm was so long and stabby in the back that whenever I would land, my arm was late. Yeah. every single throw.
Yeah.
So I was like 88, 91. My foot would land and my arms like here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I had to bring it all the way up. But it's like, I thought that was normal. I didn't know that that was a mechanical flaw. Like, I didn't know that that was like a big problem for me to have.
Yeah.
And then I saw through Robbie Rowe, like, how he kind of made his transformation with shortening his arm path. And I was like, I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
I ended up working out 6 days a week throughout COVID. I was hitting heavy single leg squats, pistol squats, single leg RDLs, on top of heavy deadlifts too, and like heavy back stuff. But I think that was definitely like the main ingredient to like what happened in the future, because for the first time in my life, because I had always like worked hard in the off season, but it would be like a lot of, you know, back squats or like leg press machine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm lifting.
Your typical gym bro kind of diet.
You know what I'm saying? But then when I actually started incorporating like heavy split squats, reverse lunges, barbell RDLs, pistol squats, side lunges, on top obviously of hip mobility every single day, T-spine mobility, that's when everything kind of started to come together. Because at the end of those 6 months, when I got back to Lee, the fall of 2020, I was 205, and for reference, I had never been a pound above 188 in my life. Like I was 180, I was 183 to 188 for about 3 years. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over it. I was 188 to 188, 183 to 188 for basically my entire college career. And so when I got back to Lee, I was 205, and all my teammates thought I was like taking shit, and I'm like, bro, no, it's literally just creatine and protein right after you eat and sleep 12 hours because it was COVID, so we have nothing else to do. You know what I mean? So I was literally recovering as best as I could, eating dinner as soon as I got home from the gym, drinking my shake in the car as soon as I get done with my workout, so it hits my body immediately. And doing that every single day for 6 months turned into a little more velo. So I get back to Lee that fall. And I believe it was the second or third bullpen. I was sitting like 96, 97 on the Rapsodo. And then I threw one, and I remember there was like a tent with like all my teammates huddled around it, and my pitching coach is in the middle with the Rapsodo, and they're all looking like after every pitch. And I threw one, and it was 98.6. And they were all like going crazy, and I was like what happened? Like it couldn't have been that wild, like, you know, because the whole bullpen, they hadn't told me I was 96, 97 the whole time. I had no idea. And over COVID, no one's open, so I don't know how hard I'm throwing, like when I'm throwing to a fence for 6 months. You know, like no one's telling me. It's just all IDAR at that point. Yeah. And even my IDAR wasn't saying it was 96.
IDAR tells you it's 89.
Yeah, IDAR is like, that's just the exact same. Like, all this hard work is not paying off.
Just haven't gotten any better.
You know?
Yeah.
And so they told me it was 98.6. And, I mean, obviously I was just like in disbelief. But at the same time, it was like all the work. Yeah. It showed up. And so that fall on Pro Day, I was like 95, 97, I believe, if I remember correctly. And that was like my first ever time talking to any kind of pro scout, MLB team. And so that fall, I was in touch with like 6 or 7 MLB clubs, just kind of reaching out, getting basic information. And so that spring now, so 2021 spring, we had our best year in the history of the program. We won our conference, the Gulf South Conference, for the first time. Won the regular season for the first time in school history. I finally kind of had like my breakout year. I was one of the back-end bullpen relievers, along with my boys Andy Rivera, Mike Hendricks, and I think I was like out of the bullpen like 6-1 with like a 2.8 or something. But at the time, I was like, dude, like I never dreamed of having a like somewhat very successful college season, because I had literally gone 4 years of college of being like a guy just trying to find their way, man, just trying to adjust to college baseball. And so that season kind of showed me that, like, I've definitely taken a step up, and if I keep working my ass off and going on this track, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So fast forward after 2021 spring, 2021 summer, I go to play for the Wilmington Sharks in the Coastal Plains League.
Yeah.
And very first outing, it was the first inning, got through it clean. I get back in the dugout, and my manager goes, "You got another one for me?" I'm like, "Sure, of course. I feel great.
No one ever says no.
I feel great. Why not?"
No one ever
It was
says
like the 7th inning, so yeah, I'll go back out for the 8th. Like, no problem. Go out for the 8th, first batter. I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd pitch. As it was a fastball, and as soon as it left my fingers, I didn't hear a pop or anything, but like it was just extreme pain.
Correct. Yeah.
On the inside of my elbow.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I kind of knew. I was hoping it'd be a sprain because I could still like deadlift and do certain exercises, and I was telling myself like, oh, if it's torn, like that's probably gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Get the MRI, it's partial tear, knee Tommy John.
Yeah.
Long story short, I get the internal brace, and because I got that surgery, I was able to come back about a month into the season for 2022 at Lee.
Yeah.
This entire last fall, or 2 falls ago, I guess, I was just rehabbing. I wasn't a part of the team practices.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything because I got the surgery in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
So obviously the rest of that summer, fall, I was rehabbing, and then come spring, I missed like the first month of the season. And then after that first month, we were about a month and a half, I guess. We were like 12 and 17. We were struggling. We were struggling a little bit, needed some answers. And I think I came back, after 1 month, and we ended up winning the Gulf South Conference tournament.
Nice.
For the first time in school history. So it was almost like 2021, 2022 were like just years of like high highs and low lows, and then again it ended on a super high with, you know, our team coming through in the tournament and us being able to win the whole thing for the first time in program history. So I was really happy to be a part of that with the group that we had. So that was really cool. And then last thing, after the spring, 2022 spring, I went to play summer ball up in Ohio in the MLB Draft League for the Mahoning Valley Scrappers.
Yeah.
And had a good summer. Put up some decent numbers, but didn't get a single phone call, text, message, conversation, anything from any scout anywhere. So that was a little frustrating, of course, because I thought I, was a little deserving of, some sort of communication, but it is what it is. You keep moving, you keep going. And so I decided after that summer to start working with you guys here at Tread. And I've been in-house now for probably a month and a half, close to 2 months since I've been here. I mean, first couple bullpens were like 88, 91. Didn't really know what the heck was going on. And then we make a couple adjustments with me utilizing my pec a little more because, I was getting a little too short and kind of cutting myself off and just being from here to there instead of actually utilizing my pec a little bit. And then obviously what I've talked about with the anterior tilt with my pelvis and how I was like tilting it the other way, which was making me go straight into my quad. And so that was obviously very, very helpful before the pro day this past Sunday.
Before the
big day.
Pro day. The big pro day. So walk me through anticipation for what the pro day was, right? It's a big event, regardless of who puts a pro day on, right?
Yeah.
It's a big event. Guys' careers are on the line. And going into that, knowing that, hey, like I could truly change my career with one bullpen. Like, what was your thoughts the week of, the month of, other than the panic mode? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say like there was any sort of panic. It was more excitement than anything, because this is the opportunity that we've all been working for literally our whole life, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously, like it was in the back of my mind every day when I wake up, when I'm doing DoorDash here, like driving around. Like obviously, I'm thinking of it. But I was mainly like visualizing how it was gonna go.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you visualize it going as well as it did?
No. But I visualized it to go well.
Well, correct. Yeah.
Well.
We both.
You know, I visualized it to where I was landing everything for strikes. My fastball was going to be there. You know, I was visualizing a really good bullpen.
Correct. A professional looking bullpen.
Correct. And so every night, like I would spend a few minutes, like really like trying to feel myself in that situation and like seeing the catcher and how everything's going to feel and look coming out of my hand. Really just mentally preparing. It wasn't so much like, oh, so-and-so's going to be there, like freak out or anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't.
Exactly. So it was more so like building up that excitement, because as you know, with everyone else that works out in here, like everyone's preparing their ass off every single day. So a combination of that preparation, it builds a subconscious like confidence that it's just another day. It's just another bullpen in another sense.
Right.
You know, it's just another bullpen almost.
And we talked about that.
Yeah.
Like it truly it's a really big day for some guys, right? But I think truly the hardest part to understand is that it's just another moment, right? And I thought you handled it really, really well. I know that we have talked about it and stuff like that, but like when I told you, I said, look, like I don't care what you have today. I just want you to give me what you have.
Exactly. And that was my priority too.
Yeah,
that was my goal.
I wanted you to be able to leave the best version of yourself on the line.
Correct.
That's truly all that matters.
Yeah.
Right. If you were able to come off the mound and say, look, I gave you everything, man. That was all I had. Right. And that was truly all I wanted.
And that
right?
I gave literally all I had.
You gave.
That was all I had.
Every little ounce of it, right?
Correct.
Which is, I mean, and it showed, right? Now you have a job. Right. So I guess you can go ahead and talk about kind of the
whirlwind.
The whirlwind of emotions that you had to go through, 72 hours after?
Yeah, 72 hours after. Yeah, it all kind of started with, I guess, you guys posting it on Instagram, because first of all, I did not, expect that at all, and I appreciate you guys being able to put my name out there like that.
Man.
You know,
content.
Exactly. All the content guys, Ben, everyone, for putting my name out there. I mean, really, I was not expecting that in the slightest. But then the very next day, I'm at Walmart and I get a call from the Rays, and they wanted to offer me the first contract for the team,
which is huge, because
exactly
that's simply the dream, right? You just simply
exactly. And, in the moment, I was kind of like, I guess I'm going to be a Ray. Like it's just, that was my first call with any pro team in over 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I haven't talked to a single scout in 2+ years since I got surgery.
Truly a big moment.
Yeah, so it was definitely a super feeling of excitement whenever I got that call. And then within the next day, end up getting calls from the Yankees, Giants, Orioles, Angels, and I think I'm one. But I think it was those teams that were really the main teams that were pursuing me.
Yeah.
And after talks with you, my family, my agent, Matt Gaeta, he really, really helped me pave the way and kind of make the decision a lot clearer than if it was just me by myself.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, we thought the best option for me in the situation that I'm in right now would be the LA Angels. And so I couldn't be happier to be a part of the organization and get a picture with Ohtani soon, hopefully.
We all get to meet our heroes eventually, man.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
But yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and talk about kind of the profile. I think what initially sparked the interest, right, was obviously the splitter. because it's different. There's not too many people who throw a true like knuckle split essentially. And I know we've talked about Senga before, Kodai Senga.
Yeah.
About his fork and trying to see if we can get similar numbers. Obviously, I don't know exactly what his numbers are. I have a rough idea or estimate, I guess. Of what the pitch would look like. But I think as cool as that profile is, I want to say the fastball truly actually ended up carrying most of the weight.
Really?
The differences between the two pitches to me is what truly puts the Arsenal, above and beyond of what it actually is. Your fastball profile is extremely unique. There's not too many people who carry the ball that well and cut the ball at the same time. So it's kind of a rarity. But yeah, I guess we can talk about the splitter first, since that's pretty much the most interesting one. The fastball just happens. The splitter is definitely not just a just happens scenario. So how did you start throwing it? Why did you start throwing it?
Yeah.
What do you want to get out of it?
Great question.
Yeah. No.
It all started, I'm trying to think. So like I was saying earlier, in high school, I had a changeup, but I had a very unorthodox grip to it. My pitching coach, growing up in Georgia, Clint Conley, my man to this day, love that man like another father. But he taught me this changeup grip when I was 12, and I carried it all the way till freshman, sophomore year at Columbus State.
Yeah.
And it's so four seam would be there, and then I would move all the fingers over, right? And so it looks like a basic grip, right?
Yeah.
Looks like a basic grip. The thing is, whenever I got here, I would lift my middle finger to take the entire pressure of my middle finger off the ball.
Okay.
And so it worked. After years of throwing it, I could throw it as hard as I could, but because this pressure was just completely off the ball, it would just slip out and just go 73, 76. It'd be super slow.
Gravity ball.
Almost like a gravity ball.
Yeah.
Essentially. And it worked, and it was a good pitch in high school. And then once I got to college, I had a hard time commanding it. And then eventually when I got to Lee, it was more I was a two-pitch guy. I was fastball slider out of the bullpen. For just fastball slider. And so it was really this summer, 2022, that recently, that I was throwing with my throwing partner, Frank Ellisalt, every day. And he has a nasty changeup. This slots right here, grips it, just rips it, straight UFO spin to it.
Yeah.
And I'm catching it every day. Bro, please, I will do anything in this world to get a changeup half as good as that. Please teach me your grip. So he's showing me his grips, and I'm trying them. And 1 out of every 6 actually has some fade to it and is an actual changeup. The other ones are just straight down or just flat.
Yeah.
And so at this point, it's a month into the draft league. I haven't thrown it in a game yet. I was just fastball, slider, curveball in a game.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't confident with it. And then I'm just sitting at home one day after a game, and I'm just messing with the ball. And I'm just this feels really comfortable. This is literally zero strain on my fingers, my hand, nothing. I can just go from a two-seam to this just in no problem.
And that is the grip now, right?
Exactly. And so that day when I was messing around with my grips, I was what feels comfortable? Because that was the main thing for me, because I've never thrown a split. No one's ever taught me to throw a split. This is just, I've seen Kodai Senga, Ohtani highlights, and they have a filthy splitter. Let's just try something.
Yeah.
And so I was you know what? Let's just try two-seam, split it, and throw it.
Yeah.
So that day when I was throwing with Frank, I was Frank, here you go, splitter. Just try it. I throw it. It starts at his chest, and it just dropped down to his ankles. I'll never forget. Because I was how did that just happen? Literally, how did that just happen? And I remember he caught it this, turns his head this. He looks at me, he goes, "You are never throwing a changeup ever again for the rest of your life."
Banned from changeup
for the rest of your life. You're never throwing a changeup. I was I was like, don't lie to me right now. Like, don't tell me it was actually a good pitch that like had depth on it and had decent velocity on it. He goes, dude, it was perfect. So that night, I go into the game. I think we're playing the State College Spikes at home.
Yeah.
And I told my catcher, I'm like, look, I'm not throwing a changeup right now, but I'm trying this split. So we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. First pitch of the inning, he calls it. First pitch of the inning, he calls it.
Welcome to it, kid.
So first of all, in my head, I'm like, look, I'm going to pull this out in the game, first of all, like just randomly.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's... And then now my catcher's calling it first pitch of the inning. It was a lefty too, so I was like, you know what, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I throw it, it lands like a foot in front of home plate, and he swung. And I just remember like standing there like, I guess it works. I guess it works. I was just like,
no better way to know.
I was just like, aim middle.
Yeah.
Throw it right down the middle. I threw it right down the middle, and then it just went boop.
Yeah.
And he swung over the top of it, and I was like, there's no way a pitch that I just tried 3 hours ago in catch play is now maybe like possibly my best off speed.
Correct, yeah.
So that outing, I threw like 12 splitters. Like every 0-2, 1-1, I was like, nope, not slider, not fat, nope, split.
Yeah,
I just like fell in love with it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I ended up finishing up this summer throwing the split slider fastball. And I mean, split was good against lefties and righties, I believe. I don't know the exact numbers on it.
It's good against
but yeah, I figured it was getting decent results against both of them. And so that's literally how I throw and kind of interpret my own splitter, is that I just naturally have these hands that I can just comfortably split, and it's such a nice thing to have because at release I'm not thinking pronate because I'm so over the top, like you said, like 11:45.
Yeah, every now and then.
11:45, 12, or whatever release angle that I'm at. Like, it's just hard for me to really get that at the end consistently.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I can do it every now and then.
Yeah.
But just on a consistent basis, having a at least decent changeup, it hasn't been working for me.
Yeah. And that's a pitch that we'll truly probably never have to do anything to.
Yeah.
Right? Unless all of a sudden it starts side spinning or something like that. Like, yeah, then we can change some stuff. But it's unique to you. It fits your fastball profile just because, you've thrown some at negative 16 inches vertical. Right? They weren't hard, but you can do it.
It has that sometimes.
Yeah, correct. And since it knuckles so much, the actual variance of movement profile makes it extremely difficult, right? And that's something that we've talked about, several times now at this point, where it's like, hey, like, your only objective is to throw it at the face mask.
And let it rise, let it dance.
Let that puppy dance.
Let it dance, let it do what it's going to do.
And yeah, and I think that's truly what's going to make you successful. Obviously, the fastball's good. We know the fastball's good. I need you to throw it 100, but the fastball's good.
Give me like 2 more months.
We'll two more months. Yeah,
we'll get there.
A month, which is a good segue. Bring me into the rumor mill about this upcoming World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
Which you might be a part of.
Correct.
Which has all happened in the past week.
Everything.
Along with
everything
contract madness, trying to figure out madness, and now an opportunity to play against who I imagine is your hero, right?
He's one of them.
One of your idols is Shohei Ohtani. So, kind of what we thinking? Are we excited? I know, you're representing Team China, or will be.
Yep.
With the opportunity to throw against, quite possibly the greatest baseball player of our generation, of all time.
No, he is.
Yeah,
he is. There's really no debate. But
I agree.
For those that don't know, my mother is from China.
Correct.
Was born and raised in China, and then she moved over to the States about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then my father is from here. He's born in Missouri in a military family. So because my mother was born in China, that's what qualifies me to be able to even have that opportunity to play for Team China.
Correct.
And so I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago now, I woke up to a phone call from one of the coaches for Team China, and he was telling me how he saw the video on Tread, did some research, and wanted to reach out to see if I was interested in the opportunity. And I've honestly thought of playing for Team China for like 4, 5, 6 years now. Like ever since I got into college, I looked up the qualifications. I was like, let's just see.
Let's see if I qualify.
Because I can't play with Team USA right now. That ain't happening yet. Yeah. So I was like, let's try to finesse something with Team China. And so I remember looking at the qualifications, like freshman year at Columbus State, and it was one of your parents has to be born in the native country. And I was like, it's that easy? Wait, so like technically I could.
Yeah.
So then I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, now it's just a matter of getting to the talent level and like after college. So I'm actually like eligible to play in it. So right now we're in the process of getting all my birth certificates processed, passports, getting my mom's birth certificate from China, all that kind of situated in order for me to go over to Tokyo next month and possibly pitch against Ohtani and Seiya Suzuki and play against Darvish, Senga in the Tokyo Dome next month. So I'm really excited to strike out Ohtani. That would be really fun.
Yeah,
that would be really fun.
You can keep that one on the back burner. We'll make sure we get that one clipped just in case. All right, in case that one happens, we'll have that one clipped. Yeah, I think from my perspective, because I don't play anymore. That was always one of the only things that I truly ever wanted. Yeah, of course, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a big leaguer. I want to win a World Series. And then I started getting older. My entire family is a military family. And I wanted to represent Team USA more than anything on planet, because it's awesome. It's so cool. It's the entire world coming together as a culmination of everyone's efforts and playing against each other.
Playing the best game.
Correct. It's simply like there's simply nothing better. And to be at the Tokyo Dome is obviously going to be unbelievable, right? Because we've all seen games in Tokyo, and it's pretty unbelievable. So,
and as you know, as a former Division II baseball player, the crowds that we're playing in front of is probably not quite on par of the Tokyo Dome.
Correct. Yeah.
So I probably won't be able to feel my legs, but we'll see.
Our Division II background, even not to brag, I did win two conference titles.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, and a regional.
Okay, well, when I was at Columbus, we went to the national championship game.
Okay, yeah. We
lost it, but we went.
Well, okay, well, at least you went. But yeah, so I would say there's definitely going to be a little bit difference than the standing crowd of 87 people when it's freezing cold outside.
And they're all chanting together whenever Japan's hitting.
Correct. Yeah, which she'll be throwing against.
Correct.
Will definitely be an extremely unique experience. And I will say you guys probably have the most fire hats in the entire WBC.
Pretty nice.
You
saw them, you looked them up?
Yeah, they're
pretty fire.
Yeah.
But I'm excited more than anything. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of display that, like, obviously China is behind on baseball compared to Korea, Japan, just because it's not as popular over there for whatever reason. But I'm hoping to somewhat put that on the map, a little more than what it is right now, so that kids that are playing in China, or even American Asian kids in the U.S. that have Chinese descent, would like to play for China or Team Japan or whatever it may be in the WBC. And the opportunity comes.
I think this also gives you a full opportunity to kind of show where you are at essentially the highest level, right? You'll be fit, and I don't know how many times I have to bring it up, but you'll be facing the greatest player on planet Earth right now, and to be able to actually put a culmination of however many years of work out onto a field and be able to express that and show that to other people that, like, hey, like, I worked my ass off to be here, right, is gonna be huge. Like, it'll truly show you what you have. You know what I mean? Like, there won't be any piece that I think that you'll leave behind, and you're good.
Yeah, I'll be ready.
So, like,
I'll be ready.
And I don't have to worry about you, not leaving anything on the mound, which is something we always talk about, like, hey, I don't need you to leave any piece of you not on the mound today. I need you to make sure you give me everything you have. And I'm excited to see it, even if I got to watch it at 3 a.m., you know what I mean? I'll still be watching.
Okay, so you better stay up for that.
Yeah,
Better stay up for that.
it'll be the only time I stay up past my bedtime. And
Worth it, though.
old guy these days.
Worth it. It's going to be worth it.
I'll
get you some extra gear, too. I'll try to bring back some team China gear for you.
Please. I'll rep all day.
Perfect.
All day.
I need more tread gear, though. That's the only thing.
Oh. All right.
Okay, I was about to say, come on now. I got like 2 shirts.
Yeah. Hey, I'll handle the gear stuff, man.
Perfect.
I'm a program writer.
Fair enough.
Coach aficionado.
Fair enough. Good excuse.
Yeah, it's a good excuse. I know. So I think probably a good segue would probably be to go ahead and talk about, what are you excited for in the future? What are you excited to work on? We don't have to really talk about mechanics that much. You already are pretty good. Let's talk about what kind of limitations you think that you have. I'll kind of tell you if you're wrong or not.
Yeah.
And then we'll just kind of go from there.
I'm really just excited to get my feet wet, first and foremost, with the entire professional side of baseball. Yeah. I know that it's very business-oriented, business-driven, so everything's, washed under a microscope, and it's all about results now. So it's kind of a shift in mindset from college to pro. And so I'm definitely going to try to learn how to pitch under those circumstances, like in that environment, knowing that every outing matters.
Correct.
Every single outing matters, and develop
every pitch matters.
Every pitch matters.
Yeah.
But development-wise, really just honing in on that split, obviously, like keeping the fastball where it is, if not, ticking up a little bit more, obviously, because who doesn't want to just a tad bit more on it?
Everyone does, yeah.
Correct. And then on the split, really just making it a pitch that I can be so comfortable throwing in the zone at any point in time, while also having like a 0-2-1-2 version of a split that's kind of like a fork ball or Senga ball or however you want to say, where it just starts down the middle and then just drops.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and also possibly with my slider, probably tightening it up a little bit. Sometimes it can probably get a little sweepy. Some days it's gyro-y, some days it's sweepy, even though it'll be like the same velo with both metrics on it. So, or movement profiles, I should say, on it. So, really getting a more tighter slider that's more gyro, because I've had success with it so far, being a more up to down movement profile. So definitely making that more consistent and a little bit tighter. Splitter, just getting a better feel, which will just come in time. And then go a little bit harder based off of, getting that pec a little more involved, like you always say.
Year of it, baby.
Exactly.
Year of the pec.
Exactly. Every year's the year of the pec.
Every year. It always has been.
Yep.
Okay, let's completely backtrack.
Okay.
Let's talk about Division II baseball.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm a, D2 boy at heart.
We're both D2 bandits.
I did play 1 year Division I baseball.
Not bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
crazy.
I'm gonna give my contract to you. Actually, you got it. You got it, big dog. You got it, big dog.
But no, I obviously, I spent 5 years at Division II, so I kind of, understand the trials and tribulations of playing at a non-Division I school. Even though I played at a mid-major, right? I didn't play at Vanderbilt.
It's still Division I baseball.
Yeah, and there are differences.
Correct.
Right. But Division II baseball, in your mind, what was it like to you? Was it enjoyable? What did you hate? Did you hate anything? Because I can tell you right now, I hated tar pulls.
I mean, of course, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Pulling the tar at 7 a.m. Where's Andrew Wright?
No, that was definitely brutal when it's snowing and you got.
Oh yeah.
There was one game at Lee where we had like 3 feet of snow, and we had no tools to help us whatsoever. The 40 of us in the coaching staff were literally just rolling snow in the outfield.
So you guys did that
and
too?
And we played the same day.
You guys did that too?
Yes, we played the same day.
All right, we did.
None of us had gloves on, nothing. Like we literally grinded out there for it felt like 10 hours. Like,
Yeah,
I think it was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
but it was just, I mean, freezing at every part of your body. And like we played later that night, obviously like the track and everything was just covered in snow still, but the field itself was like, I guess playable. But I mean, overall, the D2 experience was overall definitely enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's a very, very high, it's very competitive in the Peach Belt Conference and the Gulf South Conference.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me to sit here and say which conference is better because every team, every top 5 team in each conference, all the starters on those teams are Division I players.
Yeah.
They just either got under-recruited or they're the same. This is what I've noticed too. I don't know about you. A lot of D2 players are just as talented as a D1 player. They're just smaller. The talent's the exact same. The talent is the exact same, but they're just a 5'10" version of a guy that's at Tennessee who's 6'3"
6'4",
with whatever tools, but the guy at Lee has the same tools. He's just a little bit smaller or just got a little bit under-recruited.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah.
some if you want to watch like really, really, really high-end baseball, you go to a regional for any Division II.
Go to the South or go to
yes,
the
exactly
East,
in the South.
East regional.
I'm talking about Southeast.
Any kind of Southeast regional you can get into with Tampa.
Ridiculous.
And any schools like that, or even in the East where it's like
ridiculous.
Where you play the PSAC schools, Mercyhurst, Millersville, stuff like that.
Yep.
I mean, those guys were good, man. I know, dude, one of my last years. I mean, it was extremely competitive.
Yeah.
I would say that the difference between Division II and Division I baseball is not necessarily the peak, right? Obviously, unless you have a Chase Burns or a Nick Lodolo at TCU or anybody like that, right? Like obviously those guys are in a lane of their own.
Yeah.
But the difference truly becomes with the guys in the middle, right? Where we would run out some guys who were 82, 85, right? And when I started playing ETSU, like, we didn't have that.
You're running out a guy that's like 88.
We were 88, 89.
Correct.
Right, who, like, threw a good breaking ball.
Even then, I have to disagree with that. Like, at Lee, we weren't running out guys throwing 82.
It depends, right?
Exactly. High D2, like, we're having guys, the whole staff in 2021 when we won the conference for the I think like 85% of the staff was 90 plus.
Dude, our the first year we won conference championship, right? So this would have been 2018.
Yeah.
One of our starters legitimately would throw fastballs at 72, and it was almost like he was playing a game with you. He's awesome. He's the coolest human being ever. And he carved.
Not 72.
Swear to God.
That's lobbing it in there.
Nah.
That's BP fastballs on there.
It didn't matter. He's carved.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, like, it was me who just got on the mound and
shoved it down your throat
as physically hard as I could.
Correct.
With no intention as to where the ball was going.
Yeah.
And like that was, kind of like obviously like there's a progression. Like as schools get better, as you get better, like you stop getting guys who are in the low 80s, right? Like, I'm sure there will be a unique guy who comes in who throws some weird slot, and he'll get in there. But truly though, like the difference was, especially when we played like Virginia Tech or Tennessee or something like that, like
those middle guys,
they're average guys. Just better. Like simply just better.
Yeah.
And like, dude, Tennessee brought out a guy in the 4th inning against us who was 2-6 and had thrown 2 innings on the air, and we're 25 innings of the season, and he's thrown 2 innings and he's 2-6.
He's 2-6.
And
yeah.
And not just like a normal 2-6, like a good carry ball 2-6 with a banger.
Yeah. And
I was like, that's that's pretty much the difference between like a mid-major and an SEC school too, or a Power 5 or anything like that. Like there truly is a difference. Obviously, I love Division baseball. I hated some of the moments that I had just as a player. My story is a little similar to yours, where like I didn't throw very much my first 3 years. Obviously, we both have scars on our elbows, but like there were a lot of things that I wouldn't have changed about going to a Division II.
Same.
Simply because like, you know, I met some of the best friends of my entire life.
Same.
You know, and the relationships I think that you build in Division II baseball are a lot different, right? To where like I have friends who went to like what I consider at the time like rival schools. Like, you know, we weren't in the PSAC, but I know a lot of guys who I played against that were in the PSAC who like I call friends now. Like I can call them if I need anything. It's always like how's that Division II body holding up today? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the campuses are just a lot smaller. You meet everybody. You know what I mean? Can't say the same for Lee, but like
No, it was like that. 20 people per
Yeah.
class. Professor knows your name.
Yeah,
You know all the athletes on campus. They know you.
Yeah, so there's kind of an advantage to it, and I think one of the things that really helped me as far as like wanting to develop myself while I was there was thinking about it like being on the island. You know what I mean? You ever heard that expression?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what I mean, well, it's essentially like when you're on the island, like if you're in the Dominican, you have to be so good to be able to put yourself up on a pedestal to have an opportunity.
Just be like undeniable.
Correct. You have to be undeniably good, especially at a Division II school. Yeah. Are there guys who get drafted out of Power 5 schools who are 3 starters and post like okay numbers? They're like 92, 94? But yeah, 100%. When I was 92, 94, was I that same human being? Like, no. Did I think that I was better at the time? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I always use that expression to guys who don't play at a Power 5 school. It's like, hey man, like your whole goal is to get off this island, right? Which is essentially what you've done now, right? You've now, you know, taken yourself off of the island and given yourself an opportunity to be with an organization. So yeah, that's kind of how I view Division II baseball. It's you take what you get and
Yes.
you work with it.
And to add on to everything you just said, I really think because I'm done with it now, I have this perspective
Correct.
of it really does not matter
Truly.
if you go D3, if you go JUCO, if you go NAIA, or mid-major D1.
Yeah.
Like an opportunity at the end of the day is an opportunity.
Correct.
It is up to every person
Correct.
to do what they want with these 24 hours in every day to become whatever they want to become.
Correct.
You know, it's like, it's all on you.
Yeah.
It's all on you. Like in reality, it's all on you.
Yeah. And
If you really want it, you can make it out of the crappiest D2 in the country. You could. You just work your butt off 50 times harder than every guy next to you, and you'll make your way out. It's up to you. Like,
yeah. I mean, I would say we played a guy COVID year. We played a guy, his name was Braxton Roxby, and he was good, man. He was really, really good. He was 2 to 6, I think, somewhere around there. Just had a banger of a curveball.
yeah,
And we threw in the same game, and I was 2 to 5, and I was like, you kind of went head to head a little bit. I don't think he threw very well in that game. He had thrown well prior. Just like really good stuff. And like the Reds took a chance on him. They were just like, dude, yeah, I mean, the stuff is good. And that was during COVID years, so there was 5 rounds.
yeah.
So they UDFA'd him, and like they took a chance on that guy. And that's at a Division II school that, I mean, they play in a pretty stacked conference. Like PSAC's pretty tough.
No, I've heard. I've heard.
Yeah. I mean, even on Mercier's years, they had 2 dudes they threw against us in a super regional that got drafted. Like they were good. So like I don't think you don't have to go somewhere outlandish, right?
You really
To have
don't.
These massive goals to improve yourself.
Even if you do go to one of those schools, there's no guarantee. If you just go through the motions at that school that
you're
you're going
gonna
to
get better.
develop 3
Yeah.
times fold
No.
of what you are right now.
Yeah.
You know, that it's all up to you.
Yeah, and that's the tough part when you're telling an 18-year-old, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like it's up to you to make yourself better. There are some who are, you know, intrinsically motivated or something like
Yeah.
that. And who,
But in general, though.
yeah, in general, most 18-year-olds don't actually see, you know, hard work, right? Where it's like, hey, like COVID just happened. I can't leave my house for 6 months. I was in the living room doing split squats with a 32 pack of Dasani waters. You know what I mean? Because I needed to do something. I needed some kind of stimulus on my body. You know what I mean? And but I wanted it. I truly did. And it's easy to see it now as like a, oh yeah, I really wanted it thing. But to be able to describe that process to people of saying like, no, like we actually wanted it. You know what I mean? Like we actually truly wanted to get better. And that's really hard to tell a kid when they're 18 years old and it's like, hey, yeah, you're
good.
You're good, but you're going to a Division II school, you know. They're like, oh, well, you know, I'm only a Division II player, and like I don't think that's how you view it.
Yeah, see, that's just capping yourself.
at
like
what you
capping yourself at, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For no reason, you're just hurting yourself at that point.
I mean, you had teammates like that. I had teammates like that.
Oh, of course.
Who were just okay with what they were, which is fine.
Man.
You know what I mean? If that's truly what you want at the end of the day, like that's totally fine.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And some people are just, hey man, I'm here to get my degree.
Correct.
And I totally understand that.
Correct.
But for the people who came to practice and showed up, went through the motions and said, oh, I want to be a big leaguer, and I want to be Jacob deGrom. Well, you ain't Jacob deGrom, and if you were, you wouldn't be here. So, you know, for me, that was a perfect kick in the ass. You know what I mean? Especially once they cut open this elbow, it was wartime, man. And I'm sure you feel the same way. I mean, you threw hard prior to TJ. I did not. I don't even know if you know that.
I don't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
Well, you were like 97, 98 before TJ? And then like 104 after, right?
Subtract 20 miles an hour off that, and you'll be around where I was. But yeah, so like, it sucks to say that, but like having TJ was my motivator. It was my kick in the ass, because I was pretty comfortable. I'll just be 78, 82, get my degree. You know, I'll do whatever after that.
That's the difference, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, but I needed something, right? And you know, it's good for me to hear that like you didn't need that. You've always had something a little bit different about you inside of you. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I think honestly, it's just the passion I have for the game. Like, I remember when I was at Columbus State, like I have a bad game or bad outing or whatever, and like I'd be upset with myself.
It was obviously like the end of the world.
Exactly. But then I go home and I watch MLB Network for 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just like everything. It's
Yeah.
everything. I breathe, I live, sleep, eat, breathe it. You know? So it's like that is what definitely helped me to keep going whenever I was not having success, not throwing well, not figuring things out, is that my love for the game itself was like, I can't get away from it almost.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I tell people baseball is like a super toxic girlfriend.
Ooh, preach.
Like definition. You know, I came up with
100%.
this saying like a couple years ago. It's like,
it's that girl you can't let go.
you love her more than anything in the entire universe, and when it's going well, it is going beyond well.
Oh yeah.
But when it's going bad, it's going beyond bad.
Oh yeah.
And you can't step away from it.
Can't do it.
You know? So it's
I mean, it's a perfect example that, yeah, it truly is. The game it's the most humbling thing that you can possibly do. Training's cool, right? We've talked about this. I truly don't care how well you train. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I want to get something out of you. I want to apply a different stimulus. I want you to throw harder. I want you to throw better pitches. All the training is doing is setting you up to play the game.
correct.
This game is what matters.
Correct.
Right? And, man, is she a beast. I mean, because even for me, anybody can look at my stats. They're horrid. Horrid. I was a really bad pitcher. A really good thrower at one point and a really bad pitcher. And like when we first started working together, how I told you how like, hey, like I don't need you to compare yourself to anybody else. I just need you to be Alan Carter. Like that's it, right? Because I spent so long trying to be somebody else. I wanted to be you, Darvish, one week, and I swear to you, the next week I was Tyler Glass now.
I went through that phase too.
Yeah,
growing up.
It's tough, right? When the game is throwing punches at you and you just can't block them or dodge them.
You got to figure something out.
And you're just wearing them off the chin, and it knocks you on your ass. It's really hard to get back up, right? Without having some sort of identity, right?
Of knowing what kind of pitcher you are.
Yeah.
And it took me, personally, 5 years.
Yeah.
Of college.
Correct. And
It took me 5 years.
It took me quitting playing baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Being in here to be able to throw live ABs, to be like, oh, wait, this is actually who I am. Like, and that's a really hard point to try and reach because most people don't know who they are as a pitcher, right? And that's always why I told you, like, hey man, like I don't care if you want to be Spencer Strider, I don't care if you want to be somebody else. I just want you to be Alan Carter. Alan Carter's really good at playing baseball, right? And now we've blended this mold to where you don't have to be anybody else anymore because Alan Carter is unique, right? Alan Carter can throw the whatever the hell you want to call this thing, right? And not a lot of people can. Not a lot of people throw balls that just do this. You know what I mean? Where it's just cut carry and no one does that, right? So like now you're uniquely you, and we didn't have to be like, hey, like let's
copy Senga.
Let's try and be Kodai Senga.
Yeah, let's just break down his mechanics.
Yeah, let's break down Kodai and let's say that he's you, and that's true. That's truly not who you are. And now it's like, okay, how can we make Alan Carter the best version of himself?
Facts.
Right, which is facts. Truly, like that's where we're going now.
And
97 is cool, man. It really is. I'm super happy we got there, or 96.9, whatever.
You have to say that.
And yeah, I know. In an indoor pen, but like, now it's like, okay, how can Alan Carter throw 100 and get dudes out at the big league level? And I know that's crazy here because 2 weeks ago, it had been like, Jesus, man, I just hope I throw a really good pin on pro day.
I'll take a pack of Skittles.
Yeah, I'll take a plane ticket at this point, man.
I'll take it.
And now it's like, okay, how can Alan Carter get dudes out at the big league level? And now there's going to be, and say that's where we end up, right? You're a big leaguer, and now there's kids copying Alan Carter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well,
like,
they probably shouldn't, but
yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah,
based on the history, I don't know that.
Unless they just got really long fingers, then maybe they can try something. But
don't do that. But yeah, I think the journey is. Like I know we got emotional and stuff like that after all the signing stuff, so we don't have to be emotional anymore. But the journey only begins now.
Correct.
Which is the coolest part about the whole thing.
It's also wild to think about how like everything that's led up to now is like not wiped, but just it kind of doesn't matter. Like
it's a clean slate.
The next day after I signed with the Angels, like it was like my mindset was back to what it was always. Like, okay, get in here, put in the work that I need to get a little bit better today, and walk out of here knowing that I got just a little bit better.
Yep.
And that doesn't stop.
Yep.
Whether I sign with who or whoever, whenever, like doesn't matter. Or get called up or whatever, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. So now and now our process gets to be a little bit more like results oriented, which is cool. Because now we get to talk more about playing the game. Like, hey, what do we do in this count? Hey, what do we do to this guy? Like,
true.
Now, like even our player coach relationship, even though I don't necessarily view it that way. Because I try and work with you guys just as I would my best friend, right? And I think that now that we get to go more towards a process-oriented kind of situation where it's like, hey, like this would be a good time for you to throw a split, right? Even though probably for you it's probably all the time, except for 3-0 probably.
Yeah.
I don't know that I do that.
Probably not.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll just flip a slider into that point.
It depends. If you're feeling up to it. But yeah, but like now we get to talk about playing the game, right? Which is for me the fun part. Yeah, trust me, I love doing pitch design and everything like that. But you know, all those things are just tools to get you ready for the game. So I'm glad that we finally get to do that.
I'm looking forward to it. I literally have no experience. No experience. I mean, you know how it is, like Division II baseball, there's no pitch design stuff like going on until I get here, and then we actually can get my stuff on TrackMan every single pitch, so we actually know what the metrics are, what everything's doing, and then going from there.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah,
For
should
sure.
be exciting.
100%.
We got a big year coming up.
Big month, big year.
A pretty
big year, big year.
big, pretty pivotal year in your life.
But at the same time, I mean, just doing what I've always done, like really just focusing on my process.
Yeah.
And not, obviously the results like are important, but like if you're always thinking about the results, for me at least, because some guys I know they can go out there and be like, yo, I need to punch out 8 guys this game. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I have to just focus on what I can control in my process in terms of like, you know, my 2 mechanical cues that I'm working on, or just trying to repeat whenever I'm on the mound, and then whatever else happens, it doesn't even matter because it's not part of my process.
Correct.
You know, so just continuing that and improving my mental side, as well as obviously sharpening everything up as much as we possibly can before spring training and hopefully the World Baseball Classic. We'll see.
Feels so weird to say that, man.
I know. Please don't wake me up.
Oh, dude,
wake
no,
me
we'll
up.
just keep living in the dream right now.
Don't wake me up yet.
Yeah, but I'll let you know when it's time.
Okay, please.
Okay. I think that's all we got.
Awesome.
2023. It's
Yes,
the biggest
sir.
year ever.
Yes, sure. It's gonna be. Appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. That's the best one you had so far, isn't it? Nah, don't lie to me. It's top 2, but not 2.
Second.
Yeah. What was the best?
This color.
Right. Mitch was fire. How long was that? Like 40 minutes? 30 minutes?
This tall? No, second.
Hours? Hour? No. Bro, that felt like 20 minutes, bro.
I swear.
That felt like 20 minutes.
Your infield talk was 20 minutes itself. It's like, oh, they about to cook.
Oh, my intro was 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Damn. Hey, we were low-key cooking.
When Hunter brought up you got route to pro day, that was like 20 minutes. Then I'm like, oh, they about to cook. Because Hunter didn't even ask anything.
Yeah.
They about to cook.
I had to make sure I got those details from the upbringing, because otherwise the story wouldn't hit.
I mean, we were low-key cooking, though.
Sorry about it.
Low-key
Go,
cooking.
baby. Let's go. So y'all about to upload that to YouTube too? Yeah. Bruh.